Imagine being kicked out of your own cabin by the very people who are supposed to protect your neighborhood, your HOA. That's exactly what happened to me when they called security and banned me from the property I've called home for years. It felt like a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. How does a community organization, meant to keep things peaceful and safe, turn against one of its own members so harshly? But here's the twist. After all the chaos, it turns out they owe me $8,000 every month just to keep their clubhouse open. Sounds unbelievable, right? Well, that's exactly what I'm about to explain. This story isn't just about me and my cabin. It's about power, control, and how far an HOA can go to enforce its rules. There's a whole lot more behind the scenes, from unexpected legal battles to tense negotiations. And trust me, the drama is just getting started. I want to take you through everything, the calls, the confrontations, and the surprising turn that changed everything. By the end of this video, you'll see how a simple community dispute turned into a battle that shook the whole neighborhood. But for now, I'll leave you with this. How does someone banned from their own cabin end up holding the key to the clubhouse's future? Stay tuned, because the next part will blow your mind. So, let me take you back a little. This all started months ago, when I first bought the cabin. I thought it was going to be my peaceful getaway, a place to unwind and enjoy nature. But right from the start, the Homeowners Association wasn't exactly welcoming. Small things, rules about parking, noise, even the kind of decorations I could put up, started piling up. At first, I figured, okay, that's just how HOAs work. You have to follow the rules. But then things got personal. I started getting warnings, letters, and eventually, the HOA decided to call security on me. They claimed I was violating some obscure rule. No clear explanation, no chance to defend myself, just a firm ban from the property. Imagine that, being told you can't even set foot on your own land. It felt like a bad dream. I tried talking to them to explain, but it only made things worse. And here's where it gets really strange. The clubhouse, the heart of the community, suddenly faced some serious financial trouble. The HOA was struggling to keep it open. Then, out of nowhere, they agreed to pay me $8,000 a month. Why? Because they needed my cooperation to keep things running. How did I go from being banned to suddenly holding this kind of power? There's a lot they didn't want anyone to know. And I'm about to spill all the secrets in the next part. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. What really shook me was discovering just how tangled the whole situation was beneath the surface. The HOA wasn't just some small group of neighbors. They had a board with real influence, and some members weren't exactly playing fair. I started hearing whispers about long-standing disputes, hidden agendas, and money troubles tied to the clubhouse itself. The very place where neighbors are supposed to gather was now a battleground. One of the board members seemed particularly determined to push me out. It felt like they had it out for me from the start. Maybe it was because I asked too many questions or didn't just blindly follow their rules. On the other hand, some residents quietly sympathized with me, even if they were afraid to speak up. It was like the whole community was divided, caught between loyalty to the HOA and wanting fairness. Then there was the financial angle. Why the sudden need for $8,000 a month from me? It wasn't just a payment. It felt like a lifeline for the clubhouse. The HOA's budget was in the red, and without that money, the clubhouse might shut down for good. That meant no more community events, no more gatherings, and a lot of frustration for everyone. But accepting that money meant I had some kind of control, a power I never expected to have when I bought the cabin. The tension was thick, and I was stuck right in the middle. Who really held the cards? And how far would they go to protect their interests? I knew I had to dig deeper, but I also realized this story was far from over. As the weeks went by, things only got more intense. Every conversation with the HOA felt like walking on a tightrope. One wrong move, and I could lose everything. I started getting mysterious messages, some from neighbors warning me to back off, others pushing me to stand my ground. It was clear that the tension in the community wasn't just about rules anymore. It was personal. The clubhouse, the cabin, the HOA, they were all tied together in a way I couldn't fully grasp yet. The security patrols didn't just stop at banning me from the cabin. They showed up at community events, watching my every move. It felt like I was being isolated, turned into the enemy. But then, out of nowhere, the HOA board called me into a meeting. I walked in expecting a confrontation, but instead, they laid their cards on the table. $8,000 a month was their offer, but with conditions that could change everything for me and the neighborhood. That moment felt like the calm before the storm. I was caught between standing up for my rights and the pressure to keep the clubhouse alive, a place that meant so much to others in the community. The stakes were higher than I ever imagined. Would I accept their deal, or would I fight back and risk losing everything? The answers were coming fast, but so were the challenges, and the biggest showdown was just around the corner. What happens next could change this whole neighborhood forever. Just when I thought I had a grasp on what was happening, something completely unexpected hit me like a punch to the gut. During a late-night call with a neighbor who had been quietly supporting me, I learned there was more to the HOA's financial troubles than just bad budgeting. Apparently, some funds meant for the clubhouse maintenance had been mysteriously redirected, or worse, missing altogether. Suddenly, the $8,000 a month they were offering me wasn't just about keeping the clubhouse open. It was part of a much bigger cover-up. This revelation turned everything upside down. The conflict wasn't only about me being banned or the money I was owed. It was about trust, hidden agendas, and maybe even corruption within the HOA board. No wonder some members were so desperate to keep me out of the picture. If I dug any deeper, I might uncover things they desperately wanted to stay buried. That meant the stakes had just skyrocketed. Now, I wasn't just fighting for my right to access my cabin or the money owed to me. I was caught in a web of secrets that could shake the entire community to its core. But exposing the truth wouldn't come without risk. If the HOA was willing to ban me once, what would they do next? The tension was unbearable, and I could feel the pressure mounting with every passing day. What would happen when this powder keg finally exploded? The next chapter is going to be explosive, and you won't want to miss it. The moment everything came to a head was more intense than I ever imagined. After gathering enough evidence about the missing funds and the HOA's shady dealings, I confronted the board during a packed meeting. The room was silent, every eye locked on me as I laid out the facts, documents, bank statements, and witness accounts. There was no way to deny it anymore. The same people who banned me were caught in a serious scandal, and the clubhouse's survival depended on my decision. Faced with the truth, the HOA had no choice but to come to an agreement. They lifted the ban, and the $8,000 a month wasn't just a payment. It became a critical part of the community's plan to rebuild trust and restore the clubhouse. Suddenly, I wasn't the outsider anymore. I was someone the neighbors relied on to keep the place alive. But just when I thought the nightmare was over, the final twist hit hard. As the dust settled, I found out that one of the biggest supporters in the HOA had been playing both sides, feeding me information while secretly sabotaging efforts behind the scenes. This betrayal wasn't just shocking. It meant the fight for this community was far from over. The clubhouse was safe for now, and my cabin was finally mine again, but the real story, it's about power, trust, and knowing that sometimes the biggest threats come from the people closest to you. And that's where things stand, at least for now. After everything that happened, I realized this wasn't just about a cabin or money. It was about standing up for what's right, even when the odds are stacked against you. The HOA had tried to silence me, but by pushing back, I helped expose problems that were hurting the whole community. The clubhouse, which once seemed doomed, is now back on track thanks to the funds and a renewed sense of honesty among most residents. The betrayal by that one board member was a tough pill to swallow, but it reminded me to stay vigilant. Power struggles can hide behind friendly faces, and the fight for fairness never really ends. Still, I'm proud of how far we've come. The neighbors who quietly supported me showed the strength of community when people come together. At the end of the day, this story isn't just about conflict. It's about the importance of speaking up and knowing your rights. If you ever find yourself clashing with an HOA or any organization, remember, the truth can come out and change is possible. Thanks for following my story. If you've dealt with something similar or have questions about HOAs and property rights, drop a comment below. I'd love to hear from you.